Hi, Stamper fans. Welcome to Make It With Me. Thanks for joining me, whether you're watching on Facebook or if you're catching the replay on YouTube. I'm so happy you're here. I'm Nan, and I help people slow down, get creative, and stay connected, whether that's crafting together or you making a handmade card that means something. So let's make something fun today. I actually apologize. I was a couple of minutes late. We were on vacation all last week, and apparently I'm still not quite on time. I'm just a little out there. I just kind of looked at my clock and went, oops, I got to go on. So, all right, let me switch the camera here and let's get started. So this is what I am making tonight. I have given you the measurements in the description. And so you can use kind of whatever you have on hand and create along with me, or if you would rather, you can just watch and then you can come back and watch the replay and craft along with me then. So today I am having a little fun with vellum. It is a very underused medium, especially for me. I forget I have it a lot of the times, and then I'll usually come across something online and go, ooh, that's so pretty. That's when I kind of grab it. It comes with some challenges as far as adhering it, because a lot of adhesives will show through, or, you know, kind of what to do with it, right? But it also adds a real softness and an elegance to a lot of cards. So I definitely love to have it in my craft stash, especially when I remember to pull it out and use it. So this is a very basic layout. My focal point is dictated just by the dies I'm using. I am using the Springtime Scenes bundle, so stamps and dies. So that's kind of how my layout came about. But if you have something similar, go get them. If you don't have something similar, I would recommend for this layout an image or die that's about 3 by 3 inches. Okay. That'll take up about the same amount of space as I got. So play around. It's just paper. It's not rocket surgery. So I'm starting out with a fresh freesia card base, standard card base of 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. My next layer is basic beige, standard layer there of 5 1/4 by 4 inches. And I got to tell you, I am loving basic beige as a neutral for when I want something softer or not as expected as white, right? Like, what else can I use? We do have vanilla, of course, but I really love the basic beige. So if you haven't been using it, pull it out along with your vellum. The next thing I have is a 3-inch circle. As I said, it is being dictated by the dies I'm using. So something around that size will give you the same kind of look if you don't have this particular bundle. And also, if you don't have this particular bundle, you might want to grab it from my shop because it's fast becoming a favorite of mine. So let's see. All right. So next I want to work with my vellum. Let's get things out of the way here. There's my vellum. Literally all over the place. I've only been in my craft room once since we got home, so I'm just flying by the seat of my pants tonight. Okay, so, oh, excuse me, a little bit of water. So I am using, as I said, the Springtime Scenes bundle tonight. On the vellum, I'm going to use this big fat leaf. I absolutely love it. Such a pretty one. It's got presence, you know, just like, look at me. All right, so for this technique tonight, what's going on with my throat? It's very dry all of a sudden. For this technique tonight, I am going to emboss on the vellum, heat emboss, and then I'm going to watercolor the backside. This is, I will say, one of my favorite things to do with vellum. It's super easy and it's like so impressive, right? It's just people see it and they're like, ooh, you made that? Yes, I did. So we're going to stamp with our Versamark pad. And Versamark is a watermark ink. So basically it leaves kind of a very light tone on tone. On vellum, obviously it doesn't leave much. You can see the reflection there. So, and also on vellum, the ink stays wet a little bit longer, which if you're stamping with regular stuff and you want it to dry is frustrating. But if you're going to heat emboss, it's perfect. So I'm going to take my white embossing powder and just scoop it out here. Our embossing powders come in the little jar containers, but I tend to put most of mine in like a little plastic square, right? I just have a little spoon or whatever to scoop it onto there with. And it's kind of like when you're playing with glitter in kindergarten. Ooh, glitter, no glitter. But yeah, so you get something that it'll stick to, and then you just pour it over and shake off the excess. Perfect. So now we'll get our heat tool out and we'll go to town. Usually when I have my heat tool out, I kind of just aim it at my hand for a sec until I can feel it gets hot. Now, one thing about embossing on vellum is vellum will scorch way sooner than regular cardstock will. So you want to make sure to keep your heat tool moving and not have it too close to your vellum. I think you can kind of see it got a lot more opaque, did it not? So very bright, shiny, raised surface. Love it. So next, now what you can do with this, you can totally flip this over and color it in with blends, Stampin' Blends, alcohol markers. Absolutely. That'll show through as well. I wanted to do a little watercoloring because that's another thing that I was intimidated with for many years, and I know many of you watching probably are a little intimidated by watercoloring. Some of you are probably fabulous at it. But I know a lot of my customers and a lot of my friends are like, ooh, I don't watercolor. So I'm going to take our water painters, and you can take, whichever size you want. I'm just going to take the middle medium one. I'm going to grab my Fresh Freesia ink pad, and I'm going to give it a little squeeze. And then when I open it, I'll have a little well of ink right there. I'm going to do a little bit more squeezing. You can do it this way. There we go. Or you can take one of the re-inkers. This is not the correct color, but you could just drop a couple of drops in there if you want, because that's what you're re-inking the pad with anyway, right? So that'll be fine. So what I want to do is add a little bit of water to my ink. Not too much, but the water painters have a little push on each side. So you just push, and then that water will drip out. And I just want a drop or two. Mix it on in, and then I'm just going to wash that color right over the back of my leaf. All right, I'll add a little more ink because I used all of that up. The reason I'm doing this first is because obviously I need this to dry a little bit, right? So we'll just get this out of the way first, and we can do other things while that's sitting for a minute. Now I actually want to add more ink to that, because what happens is when you put it on this side, you can see it's not coming through very strong. The vellum definitely does a softening effect. It's like looking at something through fog. It's not quite as sharp and colorful. I don't know why my ink pad's being silly. I may have put too much water there. There we go. All right, so let's go back over that first one and add a little bit more color. You can also, I will say, I was debating whether to use Fresh Freesia or Berry Burst, which are both very good complementary colors to the Old Olive. And the Berry Burst would have shown through much quicker and easier. So the brighter the color, the more vibrant the color, the less, work you're going to need to do to get that to show through. But after I did the fresh freesia, I decided I really liked the softness. So when you have your water painters and you're done with them, you just squeeze a little bit of that water out again, and then just brush until it is clear. And you're ready to go on to the next color. They are super low maintenance. Love that. Okay, so we're going to set that aside to fully dry. And what do my instructions say the next thing is? Because I have to have bullet points, people, or I will not stay on topic. I will tell you too, I wanted to tell you about this bundle that when I bought it for the dies. Look at those dies, especially these big circles, right? And at first I think, oh, those are nice and everything, but no. Look at how big they are, like in real life. Bigger than my palm, right? They're just huge and I love them. But the stamp set as well is becoming one of my faves. So definitely this is a great bundle, very versatile, super fabulous, right? There it is. Okay, so I need to cut our circle die out of Old Olive, and I need to grab my trimmer because I'm using my mini die cutter tonight. So I need just a 3-inch piece here because that's about how much we'll go through. How am I doing this? Seriously, my brain is not working. It's still on island time. Okay, I'm going to do a 3-incher this way. Okay, I'm hoping I did that right. Yes, it still fits. Like I may have just wasted a piece of cardstock. All right. So yeah, everything I'm using here tonight will fit through the mini Stampin' and Cut and Emboss. So if you don't have the large one, you can still work with this bundle with the mini. Alrighty. I did cut it just a tad too small. But that's okay because the top of that circle is going to be hiding under ribbon, so we'll be just fine. Now, as far as adhering this, because it is pretty detailed, right? Thin die kind of thing. So a lot of times I will do adhesive sheets, so it basically turns it into a big sticker. But I'm going to show you that liquid glue will work just fine on this, because that is the way I did my other one. Okay, don't throw that out. We're going to use it in a second. Let's get all these little inner leafy things out. See how easily those come out? Like just kind of bend it a little bit and push with your nails. And my nails are not long, so you don't need really long nails to do this. But yeah, you don't need to get your pokey tool out or anything really. It's comes out super quick. Da, 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 da. All right. So now what we're going to do, we're going to use this piece to cut out some leaves. So we're not going to waste anything. Let's get our mini boss out here. And we're going to cut this very detailed leaf because that'll look pretty with everything. And I'm just going to cut a few out of this middle piece. So this middle piece is like, what am I going to do with that, right? Now, these are very detailed leaves, so I tend to go back and forth, like so it cuts it at least twice. And it's, you know, embedded in there. So what I usually do is just drop it and boom, it comes right out. You don't want to throw it. You just want to drop it from a reasonable distance. I am going to need to get my pokey tool out for that tiny little focus. It does not want to focus, sorry. But there is a tiny little bit in there. All right, so let's cut a few more leaves. So you may be asking where we went. We went to Punta Cana, to the beach, all-inclusive resort. It was lovely. We, we get up, we have breakfast, we go to the pool for a while. We get out of the pool, we have lunch, we go to the beach, and we read and take a nap. It's very relaxing. Highly recommend it. So yeah, we've been before, and it's. I have a hard time just sitting and doing nothing on the regular, because I have so much other stuff I feel like I should be doing or want to be doing. So I do have trouble just sitting, but when we go there, I have no trouble just sitting. Quite lovely. I don't know where I put the other leaf I already cut out, but there we go. We'll find it. Okay, let's do a couple more. Yeah, today was the first day in a little while that I had to set my alarm. Was not very happy about that. But I made it through a full day at work. Yay me. And it didn't hurt too bad. I know we all have our things we got to do, right? You don't work, you don't get to have money to go to Punta Cana. So last one here. So I have used this middle section on other cards to kind of fill in. In fact, I think I have one. Yeah, I have one behind me. So I actually cut this circle out of white, and then I backed it with the green and put that middle part back in. So just fit it back in. So you totally can do that. But if you're not going to do that, then yeah, definitely, use that cardstock, right? Feel good. I didn't waste anything. I have a whole bunch of little old olive paper scraps now, though. It's like sprinkles. Now I want ice cream. Alrighty. Okay. So there is our leaves. And we've got these leaves too. Let's do a little trim on those so I can cut those out as well. Sorry, I'm trying to find my mouse. Silly mouse. Okay, so we do have a big leaf die cut. We'll cut a couple of those out. And these I want to tape down because I don't want it to move while it's going through the machine. I just use a little Post-it tape, or you can use a Post-it note, or you can use painter's tape. Anything that's not too adhesive, because you don't want it ripping your vellum or anything, right? Super pretty. One more. All right. We might be done with the die cut. You're like, thank goodness, lady. That's taken too long. You just can't handle my jokes, right? Okay. That's all good. So I love how soft and pretty the vellum looks, right? So like if you have it by itself, it's pretty, but I will say I like it more when it's watercolored like that if you back it with white, because the color just really pops off the white. So I have die cut those leaves as well, just out of our basic white. That's always a good idea, whether you've colored it with a deeper color or not. I suppose it does depend on the look you're going for, right? So if you want something a lot softer, give it a try without the white. It's fine. All right, hold my card base. Now, one last thing I want to do here is I'm going to stamp a little. Where's my stamps? There we go. There is a little grass stamp in this set. I love it. And I'm going to take my big basic beige stamp pad and I'm just going to do a tone on tone along the bottom of this. So I'm going to start in the middle. And I'm going to vary the height of the grass. So some of it's up, some of it's down, right? I don't want any of it to be kind of the same height. And it's okay if it crosses over each other, because grass does that. You want it to look natural. Perfect. Love it. I have buried my chamois, so I'll clean that later. Okay. And I will show you the difference here, because on my sample one, the one I did the other day, I actually stamped that off on scrap paper first and then went to the card without inking, because I wasn't sure how dark I wanted it to be. So I thought I would do it full strength tonight, and we'll just see what the difference is. Okay. So I've got that little bit of grass along the bottom, little tone on tone. And I will tell you something, when you're working on a project, and usually when I'm not quite sure what I'm doing, like I'm not following a sample or something, I kind of dry fit everything before I adhere it to make sure that it looks the way I want. And sometimes I just look at it and I'm like, oh, just needs something, but I don't want to add a layer or, you know, another embellishment or whatever. Sometimes just a little tone on tone stamping is the perfect addition. Like, it's not another layer, it's just a little visual texture. Okay, so definitely keep that in your back pocket for when you're just like, it needs something. Okay, now I've got this fabulous Rick Rack old olive ribbon, and I have not been using it. Shame on me. So I'm just going to pop a piece up here. Forgot my tear and tape. If you've been watching me for a minute, you know I love to adhere ribbon with tear and tape because it's a good, strong adhesive. So it's going to hold that ribbon down to this cardstock, but then when I peel it up and reveal the other side of the adhesive, it'll also hold it to the card front really well. It's good, strong adhesive, right? Because the ribbon being in there is going to make it want to kind of pull away from the card base. And this will keep it nice and attached. Okay, so we can start assembling a bit now. I am just going to put some liquid glue down around this. And then we'll take off the backing to our tear and tape. Should have done that first, right? I got liquid glue all over. I don't always do things the easy way, but they always turn out pretty well. You don't have to be a genius to do my job. All right, so that's just going to go flat on there. Nothing special, nothing fancy. And now I'm going to show you a little cheater bow, because I know a lot of us are like, oh, I don't like to tie. So it's not really a bow, it's just kind of a knot. But what you do is you adhere the ribbon like that so it's all open here, right? And then you just slip another little piece under there and just tie it in a knot. That's it. And you're all done. And I'll trim that in a minute once I get everything assembled. Okay, let's grab our leafy circle. Beefy leafy circle, right? Big 3-inch circle. I love it. So if you're doing this with liquid glue and not adhesive sheets, you want to squeeze ever so slightly because you don't want a big glob, because you don't want it oozing out when you put it on your piece, right? And then as far as these leaves, I just take some of the bigger intersections and just kind of put a dot there, right? It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to stay. So we're going to tuck that up under this ribbon. Nice. And usually I will put an acrylic block over that, since it's just liquid glue. That'll give it some weight and I won't shift it on accident. Okay, so with vellum, we're going to take our vellum out next. And with vellum, if I were to just put, like, say, a big strip of Stampin' Seal on that, you'd see that line through the vellum. So that's one of the reasons I think people tend to stay away from vellum. So you can do a couple of things. Since this is heat embossed, that's a solid line and your adhesive is not going to show through that. So I could put a little liquid glue on there, or what I'm going to opt to do is use some glue dots. These glue dots are left over from a paper pumpkin kit I had. I have a lot of those. I absolutely love having them around. They're super handy. In the paper pumpkin kits, you get the larger glue dots and the smaller glue dots, depending on what you need. So that's also very handy. So I also have our regular glue dots that come in a roll. You can use whatever you like. Okay, so I'm just doing them like top and bottom because I want them to kind of stay curled. And I just want to adhere this on there. I'm not going to make it perfect. It's going to be a little off, right? A little wonky. But just a couple of glue dots. And I absolutely love my pokey tool for these glue dots. So if you are a Paper Pumpkin subscriber and you don't have the Take Your Pick tool, what are you even doing with your life? It is essential. Okay, so we've got our leaves adhered to our leaves. That's good and dry. Okay, so our leaves are actually going to go on with Stampin' Dimensionals. So, and this is nice too, because I've got the white cardstock on the back. So I can just put the dimensionals right on there. You won't see through that at all. It'll give it some nice height. We're going to tuck that under here. So I know your project might look a little bit different, especially if you're not using this bundle. That's okay. That's perfect. We're going for done, not, exact, right? So we'll just kind of have that framing that circle. Now I'm going to trim up these ends. And I thought the olive ribbon would be really pretty because it would kind of resemble leaves, right? And speaking of leaves, we have 4 of these pretty guys. So again, a little bit of liquid glue, nothing fancy schmancy, just a few dots. And if you get it going, you can kind of just dot it around there and not worry too much about I mean, literally. I have not covered that whole leaf. So we're going to scooch one under the ribbon there. Let's scooch a couple more up here. Oops. Just making sure I'm following all my directions. I got ahead of myself. That's okay. I actually want to hold the stem of this. If you've got some tweezers, those are also good to do this, you know, to hold on to your piece with while you're gluing. I'm just a little too lazy to get mine out tonight. And I think one right peeking out from this flower. Okay, so now all we have left to do is the greeting. And there's some perfect greetings in here that will fit in that space. I'm going to do the "You Brighten My Day." That's just a nice thing to say to somebody, right? But obviously you can mix and match your stamp sets. And if something else, you know, if you have like a happy birthday or whatever that's going to fit in there, go for it. I'm sure I have some other sayings and other stamp sets that will fit in that spot. We're going to pop that down with Old Olive. Voila. And that is what we call done. So there you go. So there's my two different ones with the grass stamped off, very light, or with it full strength. It's still just a suggestion, right? It's like not a main wah in your face. So I'd love to see what you come up with. If you have stamped along with me, if you're on Facebook, go ahead and drop a picture of your card in the comments. You can also email me a picture at stampernan@gmail.com. Wow, again, I was doing so well there. So thank you so much for spending part of your day with me. I hope you'll take what I've shown you today and turn it into a card that you'll actually send to someone. That's the whole point. I'll put more details and links in Tuesday's email. If you're not subscribed to that email yet, you can do so at stampernan.com. And I will see you again soon. Happy stamping.